Clarity is misunderstood. It's not about having the perfect plan or about having it all figured out. It's not about knowing exactly where you'll be in 5 years or even two. It's about asking the right questions and paying attention to the answers, even if they're inconvenient, especially if they're inconvenient. Hi, my name is Thomas. I'm currently traveling in Southeast Asia in Bali right now, and I'm building an app. I'm making a business. It's called Hazel. The idea is it is primarily geared towards people kind of in this in-between phase of life, perhaps in between two chapters, about to quit a job or just quit a job, and trying to figure out that next step in life. And Hazel is an AI, a conversational AI compass that helps give you clarity, alignment, and aliveness. Through talking through your life, it helps clarify who you are, what you want, and it does so by connecting you to real world events, communities, and even people who are like minded and have similar pursuits or goals to yourself. While I build this business, create this app, I'm also making an essay series on my own life, my own path that's kind of brought me to this point. And I have a 3-part series called A Life Worth Cooking that kind of goes through my own journey as to how I got to this point. So this is part 1 of this 3-part series, and this essay is called Stepping into the Unknown. I quit my job at Google with no plan. A little reckless? Maybe, but not because I lacked clarity. Clarity is misunderstood. It's not about having the perfect plan or about having it all figured out. It's not about knowing exactly where you'll be in 5 years or even two. It's about asking the right questions and paying attention to the answers, even if they're inconvenient, especially if they're inconvenient. Several years ago, I was working at Google as a software engineer. In many ways, it was the perfect role. Good pay, fully remote, few meetings, and to be honest, I didn't work a lot. Lots of free time, which translated to lots of hobbies, from flying drones to martial arts and free diving and spearfishing. On paper, a great situation. But the time I did spend working felt increasingly soul-crushing. And when I moved teams to one I was hoping to be more fulfilling, I found it became worse. Not only was I bored, but now I was more stressed too. I scheduled a meeting with my manager to discuss moving teams again. He asked me, "Are you running away from something or are you running towards something?" I didn't know. Both, I guess. A week or two later, I was in a meeting with the technical lead of our project. I had recently completed the prototype of a new feature we were working on. It was a proof of concept. We would rewrite much of it later. "Thomas," he began, "have I ever told you the story of my friend who loves to cook?" No, I said, confused about where he was going with this. He told me about his friend who cooked every meal with extraordinary care. Even when he was eating alone, he'd spend extra time arranging the presentation, placing each garnish just right. Not because anyone would see it, but because he genuinely loved the craft. I was still confused about where he was going with this. Now, in the same way, we, as software engineers, must cultivate a similar passion and love for our craft as my friend does for cooking. Whether or not it's a prototype or the finished product, it is to our benefit to put the same amount of care and attention to detail into our craft. That is what makes us great engineers. Then he looked back at me. "Your prototype made me feel sad." Whoa. "It works," he said. "It does everything it's supposed to do. But remember, my friend, even if what you're making is temporary, even if no one else will ever see it, it still matters. Make it beautiful because you love the craft." Oddly, I didn't disagree with him. He loved writing data analytics enterprise software the same way his friend loved cooking. I admired that, but I also realized that I didn't. Admittedly, the prototype I built looked like dog shit. I still don't know why I chose that awful shade of yellow for the buttons. But the conversation clarified one thing. I finally knew. I was running away. Now, the other thing about clarity that gets misunderstood, you really don't need a lot of it. You only need enough to make that next meaningful decision. The one you've either been putting off or the one you didn't even know you were making because you didn't have enough clarity until now. I quit my job at Google soon thereafter. I had no plan, just a question. What did I want to cook? That's end of part one. Follow for part two. Thanks.